So in this video, I want to explain to you guys why I have the Minnesota Vikings beating the Lions in Week 18. It starts with Brian Flores. He blitzed a ton in the previous matchup when, of course, the Lions won on that field goal. And the Lions, they just shredded it. Jared Goff was incredible, especially on first and second downs. For the Vikings to have a chance against the Lions and to beat them, they're going to have to be a little bit more conservative. I get, yeah, setting pressure works in certain situations, but Jared Goff, that's exactly what he was anticipating. And of course, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for Detroit, had a plan for it. First and second down is going to be very, very aggressive downs for the Lions. So if they're being over aggressive and then the Vikings are being over aggressive, well, they're certainly going to lose because the Lions, they need to outscore the Vikings in a shootout to win this game. For the Vikings, if they're just efficient with the football and they control it, they have time of possession. Of course, they're able to get a couple of stops, then they're going to win this game. But you don't want to get into a Niners Lions situation where it's 40-34. Looking at Detroit, they scored in every possession but one. And the possession they didn't score on was a 15-play drive to where they just threw it into the end zone and on fourth down and it was incomplete. So it was a turnover on downs. The Vikings have a very good defense. Very good, I feel like it's an understatement. They have an elite top 5 offense. They've got an elite top 5 defense. One of the few teams this year that have both of those. So given the fact that the Vikings, of course, have both sides figured out, they realize the significance of this game. Detroit, they do need the 1 seed because they're banged up right now and they can get healthy. But if you're the Vikings, you're keeping Sam Darnold at home. I don't know if Darnold's ever gone to the playoffs. I don't think he has. I know he nearly did with the Panthers a few years back. You have a guy who's going into the first postseason of his career. If you can keep him at home, of course, in Minnesota, which is one of the biggest home field advantages in all of football, that's going to be a huge advantage for this team because all of a sudden the crowd's going to be quiet when you're on offense and they're going to be very loud when you're on defense, which is huge because all of a sudden now you're looking at a team like the Lions or the Eagles who have to go into Minnesota. That's going to disrupt them. It's going to make things more difficult when they're trying to call audibles, of course, and obviously you're not going to be able to get hard counts. You shouldn't be able to, at least when you're on the road. So I love the fact of Minnesota winning this game. I do have them winning this game. I think they're a better team than the Lions. If this was the October Lions, then yeah, absolutely, we'd be having a different discussion, but it's not. I mean, you've got the Vikings playing their best ball of the year. Darnold's an MVP candidate. The defense is absolutely on fire. They just shut down Jordan Love. The Packers are a very, very good team. They've only lost to the Vikings, Lions, and the Eagles. In my opinion, at least the 3 best teams in the NFC. Seeding wise, obviously not because the divisional winners and things like that. But so Detroit, they're just outmanned right now offensively. I think they're going to put up a good amount of points. They'll probably put up 27 to 30 points, even though the Vikings defense, I just said it's top 5. The Lions offense, they're going to go for it pretty much every single time. They're not going to kick field goals. They're just going to go for 6. But the Vikings, they're good enough to where they can pretty comfortably score 34 in this game. I don't anticipate the Vikings punting even once. I think the only way they'll lose the ball is if they go for it on fourth down or if Sam Darnold throws an interception. Obviously, Aaron Jones needs to take control of the football. He needs to take care of it, not lose it. He has had some fumbling issues. They actually shut him down for a little bit this year because of that. And Jones' own mother, too, said, I would have benched you as well. So this is a huge game for Minnesota. And let's just talk about it. So the difference between winning and losing this game, if you win this game, you go to the number 1 seed in the NFC, which guarantees home field throughout the playoffs, of course, up until the Super Bowl, which is in New Orleans. And also, you get that week 1 bye. If you lose this game, you guys are going to go to the 5th seed, which you are right now because Detroit currently has the tiebreaker, which means a road playoff game to start could be as early as Saturday against the Rams or the Bucks. Now, I don't think the Rams will win in Week 18. They're 10-6. The Buccaneers are 9-7. I don't know who exactly would get the tiebreaker. I think it would be the Bucks who would get it. The Bucks play the Saints. They'll win that. Baker and Evans have incentives on the line. They're going to absolutely just move the ball down the field. Saints have a bottom 10 secondary. The Rams are sitting their starters. The Seahawks, even though they can't make the playoffs, feel like they'll just go and end up beating the Rams, which will knock the Rams down to the 4 seed. And that would be Rams going up against, of course, the Vikings. if they were to lose, or the Lions if they were to lose. So the 3 seed's going to go up against the Commanders, which the 3 seed I think is going to end up being the Bucks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how it's going to go. Now, going to Tampa, going to Los Angeles, I think it's pretty similar. I get the Rams a couple of years ago won a Super Bowl, but that's because they had the best defense in football. Now they've got an elite offense, but the defense is like Jared Verse is good, but it's nothing crazy. So, and the Bucks is offensively with the way Baker's playing right now, I would not want to see them. I mean, the Bucks might end up not even punting once, whoever they play in the playoff. Even the defense as good as the Vikings, like the Bucks are that hot to the point where that could happen. I don't think it would. Like the Vikings, I find it hard to believe that the Vikings are going to give up 40, but that's just why take that chance, right? If you beat the Lions, that's not even a possibility. It can't happen. And with Detroit's defense, they've already lost to the Bucks this year. They'd be in trouble. The Vikings, to me, I don't think it's a must-win game because I still would pick the Vikings over the Rams and I would pick them over the Bucks. But it's just a situation to where you wouldn't want to be in, especially Sam Darnold's first career playoff game. So why even have that possibility if you just beat the Lions and have that home playoff game? And then, of course, you're looking at probably hosting the 6th seed or the 5th seed probably. I guess it would be the 5th seed. So if the Vikings get the 1 seed, and then the Lions get the 5th seed, Eagles are 2 seed, they take on the 7th, 3 seed. It's tough to say who would win these playoff games, man, because I think anyone could lose. Like even if the Lions and the Vikings could definitely lose in the wild card round with 14 wins, whoever gets it. So it's just that's the thing is the NFC playoffs is just so dangerous because the Packers going up against the Eagles, I mean, can we confidently say that the Eagles are going to win, like, convincingly? I don't think we can. I think some people are going to pick the Packers in that game. Like, the Packers are really good. So this is the significance of getting the 1 seed, is getting that extra week of rest, but not having to play. It's basically winning a playoff game. If Darnold gets his team this win, Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, they can look at it as like, hey, we just won a playoff game. We don't have to play in the first round, the wild card. Now, divisional, of course, whether that be taking on, I don't know, the Rams, the Bucks, a lot, like who really knows, but it's just with how talented and how close these teams are apiece, I just would not want to be in a situation to where that's even a possibility to have to play that too. And if you look at the Vikings right now, I mean, guys, they are 9th in points per game. Defensively, they're 4th in points per game. And then you take a look at, of course, their defense in terms of points per play, third down conversion, the Vikings are 4th down conversion, they're 1st, which is a huge advantage against a team like the Lions who go for it more than anyone. The fact that the Vikings are only allowing a 4th down conversion on 35.48% of plays, that's very, very elite, obviously. And then in terms of the red zone, that's sort of probably the biggest weakness of the Vikings is the red zone scoring percentage is 56.52%, which is 16th. That's literally average, but still, a defense as good as the Vikings, I mean, yeah, you definitely want to get that a little bit lower. And then in terms of touchdowns per game, Vikings are only giving up 2.1 touchdowns per game, which is 6. Very, very impressive. And then offensively, the Vikings, in terms of their rushing, I talked about it in my last Vikings video. I said I don't think the Vikings run the ball the best. Rush play percentage, 13th. Yards and rush, I guess, is the stat. So 29th. Rushes per game, which is 12th. Rush yards per game, which is 19th. Rush touchdowns a game, 0.629. So the run offense for the Vikings definitely needs a lot of work, but this team isn't built through running the football. They're built through Sam Darnold and their passing attack. When you've got T.J. Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, Kevin O'Connell, who played quarterback, you're going to throw the ball. That is what the Vikings are going to do, and that's how they're going to win. But if they can get the run game going, it will help them out because that way it takes the Lions off of the field, because when you run the ball, obviously, unless you go out of bounds, but that had to be inside of 2 minutes, but the clock continues to run. So if the Vikings can go out there and they can get 20 to 30 runs, they're going to be in a great spot because it allows Darnold to be, of course, a little bit more just balanced because play action now is going to be more of a threat, and the Lions are going to have to take care of the run and the pass versus just the pass. Yeah, that's really it, guys. I do have the Vikings winning this game. I made a Lions video yesterday, and I made it abundantly clear that I think the Vikings will win this game. I just think they're a better team right now.